I think we're live. What's up? How was your week? Haven't seen you since 2 weeks ago. Last week was a rare weekend off. So we have a lot of news to get to. I was your fourth. If you were in the States, you probably did something. We stayed at home and watched the fireworks on TV. Sure. And, hold on a sec. A little phlegmy. And, they were in a big rain delay. We had like real powerful, just like, it wasn't a very big storm, but it was a really strong one. Like a super cloud burst went through downtown Boston, and they forced everyone down into a tunnel because they were worried about lightning. And so they had to like clear the field, and then the whole thing was delayed like 90 minutes while they were waiting for it to pass through. And then they did it, and they had a pretty cool thing. They did a drone show, and then they did the fireworks. And I have to say, that drone show was impressive. You know, pretty cool, pretty slick. So who do we got here? We got Nelson. What's up, dude? We got Rob, Matt, Trolls, KGs, Gary, Chris, Matt again. All grain brewer. Your neighbors go crazy with the fireworks. We don't really see a ton of it around here because it's illegal in this state, but my cats were pretty scared. Buddy kept backing into the Buddy bunker. Buddy's coming in, sirens blaring here. Who else we got? We got Shane. We got Pacifica. We got Assad. Speaker, what's up, dude? Oh, that is good coffee. I just heated it up like super freaking hot, too. Speaking of super hot, it was super hot leading up to the 4th. We hit like 100 degrees. And I was right on the cusp of what my air conditioner can do with the central air. But it cooled off. But they're saying next week it's going to get hot again. This past week we were mostly cool, but then we had a one like hot day, and it was like hot and humid the last couple of days. But today it's been cooler and drier. But not again next week. They're saying here comes the heat again. So, it happens. Who else we got? Jay Schaff, Frank C, Shammy Whammy. Drone shows don't scare animals and people. Yeah, the drone show was pretty cool in that, like, how they can, like, sort of like make them shimmer a little bit so you don't know quite where they're going. Then it just like a new image emerges, right? So because it was the 4th of July, they had the Minuteman with the, like the drum and fife, and the, they had like the tall ship, right? Big clipper ship that they made out of it. And, it was pretty cool. Like throwing the tea, right? The tea into the harbor. Right, you could see it falling down and going below. I was like, that's pretty sweet. Like, that's actually pretty cool. Who else do we have? We got FD English. We got Ian Nunes. We got Fretless Ed. Matthew. Kev. What's up, Kev? It's like the record player's breaking in real time. What's up, Assad? It's a nice little riff at the end there. That's a great tune. That was one of Crew's, like, really kind of first hits for them. Who else do we have? What's up, James? Rico B. All the regulars are here. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit more guitar recently, like this week, because it's been hot and crappy out, and we've been finally getting caught up on things that have to get done. Went to the freaking dump today, and it was pretty busy, and it's mainly people going there to dump, stuff off, and they've been cracking down on it because it's been so crazy busy. And so I got there, the line was out to the street, and they got a guy up front, and he was like blocking, like, asking people, what are you doing? Where's your let me see your license if you don't have a sticker. So he recognizes me now. I go there like every friggin' week. So I get through the first stage, which they didn't have that until like 2 weeks ago because it was so ballistic there. But they started that like last week, and this week they're continuing it, where there's somebody like right up at the front where you drive in, like stopping you to make sure it's okay to pull in. So anyway, I get through him, I get down there, and we're waiting to go. It's a long line. And I'm noticing a little drama, right? Because the line goes in, bangs a U-turn and comes up, and you go in front of like a bunch of dumpsters, and there's a guy there with a front loader, and basically you're throwing items into the front loader, and he's moving the front loader around and dumping them into these big dumpsters. and they have Jersey barriers. You're not supposed to go in where the front loader is. It's too dangerous, right? It used to be open. You could go in there and just throw things in the dumpster, and only the heavy things, the guy with the front loader, but I guess somebody got injured. And so they said, okay, no. And they switched it to, you have to be on the other side of the Jersey barriers, and you just throw things into the hopper of the friggin' front loader, and he lifts it and throws it in. So, you know. And there was a woman there. So, you know, it's a big single file line. But this woman, like, double parked, so she made like a second lane to the left of the person up against where it gets delivered. And I can see she's having words with them, and she has got a scowl on her face, and she's like, you know, zero fucks given. And she's like, I'm going, these guys, you know. I said, if that was a dude, he probably would have been arrested. But they were giving her, like, whatever. She was, like, freaking losing it over something. And they were just like, yeah, they weren't, like, helping her at all. Because they're like, yeah, you got to wait in line. I think she wanted to go. Why aren't we doing two at a time? You know? So it was pretty funny. In fact, the guy in front of me finally said, oh, shit. And there was, like, a big gap in front of him. Because, like, he was like me, like, sort of caught up in the drama. Like, whoa, Jesus. It's the Real Housewives. We should all cease and desist Fender and stop buying their guitars. Well, listen, we can talk about that real quick. We just get started, but I like to talk about the main topics early for people who are rewatching it later. They're like, when is this guy going to get to the topics? I'm assuming that's what they sound like. Are you sitting down? I'm with Fender on this one. Okay, so this latest cease and desist was to a website that had a part of their website. They sell used guitars, and they had like Stratocaster style or used Stratocasters or used Stratocaster shapes. They used the word Stratocaster, but not all the guitars were Stratocasters. Some were other brands that just look like a Strat, right? As so-called S-types. And they basically said you have to use the more generic term because Stratocaster is a registered trademark. Now, if you go to Wildwood Guitars, right, which is a very high-end boutique Fender, Gibson, PRS dealer, if you go to their site, they have Stratocaster guitars and then a separate page for S-type guitars, which are basically Stratocaster non, right? And that's acceptable because if you go to Stratocaster guitars, every single one is the trademark Stratocaster. Now, I have been on record. I think they don't own the shape any longer. It's become public domain because they sat on their ass too long, and they let a whole industry burgeon. And I want to show you. I got to remind me. I have something to show you about that. But so that's it. But they've always protected the word Stratocaster and Strat. They've never taken, right, their foot off the gas when it comes to those marks. They've always protected that. And like I said, when my wife did a story about kids out rollerblading, she got a letter from Rollerblade saying Rollerblade brand of inline skates is a registered trademark of the Rollerblade Company Corporation. And it can't be used generically like a verb. You know who I think recently, if there was like one sort of brand that's sort of on the edge, it's Photoshop, because photoshopping has sort of become a verb, whether or not you used Photoshop to alter a photo. So photo altering has become, quote unquote, photoshopping. That's a quick way to lose your mark. That's a very fast way. So Stratocaster doesn't want to become generic to mean all Strat style guitars, whether or not they're officially Fender Strats. And I agree with them. Kleenex have to go after for people for facial tissue. Xerox, when they were a company, had to go after people for photocopying. You know, I'll have some senator said on the Senate floor, you know, have my assistant Xerox those for me. And Xerox sent him a letter saying, yo, whoa. I mean Xerox. I think you mean photocopy. Xerox is a brand, not a process. And so I get it with that. They've always protected the word Stratocaster, and then they want it to go generic. Sure. Yeah, right. Googling is a verb. Yeah, that's another one. Googling, right? Googling starts to become a verb. You're at risk. Remember, Escalator was the #1 brand of moving staircases. You know, aspirin was a registered trademark, but it was owned by a German company. We were really mad at them during World War II, so we just revoked all their trademarks, including aspirin, for an analgesic. And then so that became public domain just by fiat. We were so mad. And another thing, all your trademarks are canceled. Yeah, Velcro for the hook and loop system. Oh my God, yes. Velcro for the hook and loop. So I get that. That's a whole different thing from saying, waking up one day and saying, you know what? Today's the day we're enforcing the mark. Yeah, listen, it may have been a little bit of time. But, you know, today's the day. I got a good feeling. Anyway. Well, is it that's F11. Thought so. It's listen, when in doubt, F11. Oh, you can't even see it. Hold on. Let me go back. Oh. Hold on. Here we go. Now, can you see it? Now you can see it. Okay. So, I found this. Back in '79, it was the 25th anniversary of the Stratocaster. And they came out with the 25th anniversary. Now, this one shows a silver one. When it first came out, it was a pearl white, but the pearl white paint had severe checking and cracking issues, and they kind of recalled them. They stopped production and they switched to this Porsche silver, which didn't have problems. Other than over time, if you leave it out, especially in sunlight, it turns gold. But that's a different issue. And you can still find them in pretty dead mint condition. But this ad, right? Here they are pumping their product, the Stratocaster. It spawned 20 imitations in an entire industry. This ad is 47 years old. I'm just saying. It's 47 years old. So back then, they're acknowledging, hey, you know what? Yes, we're copied, but we're the best. And if you want, there's only one Fender, and you get, none of them say Fender, and we're the Fenderiest Fender you can get. And but now here they come, literally 47 years after this ad came out, which came out 25 years after the guitar came out. And now they're like, shit, we changed our mind. Now we want to enforce our IP. And you know, a lot of people would say it's a little too late. You know what I had to do to this guitar when I got it? It had some crazy string set on it, heavier strings. I don't know exactly what. They felt kind of weird. Might have been a custom set. And so what I wound up doing is just restringing it with Ernie Ball Super Slinky's good old 9s. And it's supposed to ship with 9s. And God, it's just such a better playing guitar with the 9s on it, and you know, sort of all set up. I took, 15 minutes and swapped out the strings and set it up a little bit, and it's been freaking awesome. Let's go to right there. Yeah. Hello. So for the guitar of the week, last week, even though I didn't have a live show, I was going to put out a guitar of the week for Monday, but they shipped out the guitars for me on Thursday, even though I think I reached out to them like the Thursday before that, or the Friday before that. And, but they got them out on Thursday, but I got notifications from FedEx saying they were all going to be delivered on Sunday. And I was like, oh, that's too close. I don't like shooting videos on Sunday for Monday. Much rather do it on Friday. It's much easier to do a video on Friday. It worse Saturday, but I've been doing more Friday lately. So I hadn't done a full video on this one. I've used it in a couple of live shows, but I hadn't done a full video. And I said, you know what? I'll just do a video on this. And I checked with them, and they said the case deal was going on for at least another couple of weeks, maybe even through the end of July. So I said, okay, let me just do that. I shoot the video Friday morning, and I get an email from FedEx. We've changed delivery on 2 of the guitars. Now they're coming today. And they showed up like Friday afternoon. But I had already shot this video, so I was like, you know what, I'm just doing this guitar for Guitar of the Week. And then I shot next week's video yesterday, and killer guitar. Sometimes you get a guitar and you just click with it, and it just out of no, it's sitting right there on a guitar stand, really out of nowhere. I didn't know really much about him. I don't think I had ever really played this shape guitar before. I don't think so. Maybe I think it's a more stripped down version. This was like a fancier version. With like binding and friggin', accoutrements. But anyway, it's nice. That video comes out on Monday. And I had a lot of fun shooting that video. That guitar kicked ass. Real nice. Was I ever in a band? I've been in a couple of informal things. I was in a band with Speaker for a little bit. So what you guys do anything for the 4th? We basically hung here and watched TV. And it's pretty good. Like I said, I thought that the most impressive thing of the night was the friggin' drone show. So I thought that was pretty cool. What's up, Jeff? Wish Vola had a locking nut for that tram. Yeah. You know, I wish they did more Floyd Rose guitars. They only really do the Aries. Because they don't do the Luna anymore. They don't do the Blaze anymore. Those are the only other two. So we'll see. I have a feeling there's going to be movement in the next year with them. Because they're ending like this. I think they're opening space in the lineup. Because they don't want to have 1,000 SKUs. So, right, these are on clearance. And these are killer guitars. I would snatch one of those up if you got the cash. Because they're like only under 900. They're MIJ. They're made in the same factory as this. And these are made in the same factory as, EVH and Charvel and Fender. And, there's a whole bunch of brands made under the umbrella. Jackson. So, good stuff. Operated the grill. Yeah, we didn't do any grilling this year. It was kind of hot. And we were thinking about getting barbecue. And our favorite place there, Blue Ribbon, they closed our closest branch. We can still go to them, but it's a bit more of a drive. We were like, shit. So I guess the only barbecue left open around here is probably going to be the one down by where the old Red Wing was, the down by Gillette Stadium, which is Blondie's. It's pretty recent. They took over the old Red Wing building, which was a friggin' drinking hole. Just got a Music Man JP15. Need a little surgery on the nut. It happens. You're less power on the 4th of July. Hey, Guitars and Beers, we don't get political. So I appreciate your message, but we try to steer clear here. People come here to get away from anything like that. So we try to keep it light. Yeah, we haven't lost power in a while. We were losing it pretty regularly for a while. God, then you start thinking about a freaking generator, but those generators are no bargain. They say they're like $5,000 or $6,000, but they really turn out to be like 20 friggin' grand by the time you're done with all the installation costs. And you need like a go-between battery and all the stuff to do the handoff. From what I can see, it's pretty pricey. Like I said, it's like they're closer to like 20 friggin' grand than they really are to the 6 or 7 grand that they quote. If a Squier guitar with a high E is slipping from the nut, well, does it have a string tree behind it? Sometimes lowering the string tree will change the break angle as it comes from like behind the nut. Give it a little bit more downward force to prevent it from coming out. The only other thing you can do is maybe cut the slot a tiny bit deeper, but you got to be careful with that because, you could cut it so deep that it's kind of farting out on the first fret, and then you've got to either replace the nut or you've got to build it back up with like some baking soda and, super glue, which is, people do it, right? It's a thing. But it spirals. Very simple thing becomes very difficult. I'm thinking like if there's a spacer underneath the string tree, right? Maybe get a shorter spacer or just take the spacer out completely. But be careful because you don't want the screw to go all the way through your headstock, right? So you gotta be careful. But I would think a downward, something like that. Deeper slot, but again, you got to be careful. You might, if the nut is too low, so you can't really cut the slot, you might have to change out the nut, which is a pain in the ass, especially on a Strat. Right, because you got to tap it out sideways. This is wood on both sides. Yeah, it has a string tree. Maybe try messing with the spacer under the string tree if it has a spacer. Like this has a big spacer. Get a small. You know who's really great for that crap? Friggin' Amazon. Do you have I'm looking for stainless steel cylinder friggin' spacers. They've got 900 billion. They get like everything you could possibly imagine. The problem is you usually have to buy a kit, and they're like, $15-20. It comes with a lifetime supply of spacers. You'll be good. You know what? The one thing you will have for the rest of your life is spacers. But, you'll use them. The Small Breeze portable air conditioners are a scam. Portable air conditioners in general are a scam because they don't really really reduce the humidity in the house like a real regular wall air conditioner would do, something in the window air conditioner. And it's mainly because it has nowhere to put the condensation, so it tries to like evaporate the condensation by almost acting a little bit more like a what am I thinking of, like a dehumidifier, and then it uses that warm dry air that comes out on the other side of both, right? So it's supposed to divert some out. They're not good. Every time I've tried a portable air conditioner, been pretty crappy. I think the hot new ones are those ones that it's like half hang inside the house and half hang outside the house, right? It's got a big slot like built into the design. Those seem pretty sweet, actually. Like pretty decent. You just have to make sure you have the right size window. Although I think some of them you can change the gap, right? And you change the gap out. But the only problem with the window air conditioners is got to make sure that water is going outside and not into the sill. My walls are so deep, and we have a big, we have outside, storm windows, that sometimes the water drips in like not all the way outside the wall, and we've had water stains down on the floor below from all the frickin' water. So, Just a little something to think about. Yeah. Right. Some of those are right. They're better for like dry climates, but if you need right where you just need cooling and not so much the vapor removal, but around here where it's so freaking humid, it's like night and day. It's weird when you go, like we were in Costa Rica and they had air conditioning, but it's not the same because it was still pretty muggy. It was just cooler. They didn't really have the same evaporative, right, where they really pull the condensation out of the air. And yeah, it's not the quite frankly, some of the best out there right now, friggin' mini splits. Mini splits are friggin' awesome. Really good. But big pain in the ass to install. Again, it's something that just blows out of friggin' control. Where you go to put it in and then you realize you don't have a vacuum. You really can't pull all the friggin' refrigerant into the condenser, right? There's all these tricks that they use to clear it out and get it ready and attach the lines, and then really, right? Like someone who knows what they're doing with that refrigerant makes short work of it, and they get it just right, and you don't waste any refrigerant or anything like that. They have DIY ones now where they fill the lines with refrigerant before they send them, but it still has to be wired, and those are hardwired. That's not plugging it into a socket. So, and you got to drill a hole through the side of your freaking house. So if you're renting, it's like not going to happen. So, but mini splits, man, I've been infatuated with them for like 5 freaking years now. Because they're really efficient heaters when it's not super, super cold out, When it's like a little cold, like 40 to 45 degrees, they're like friggin' unbelievable, the amount of latent heat they can pull out of the friggin' air. Considering the mini split for the garage, I was same here. And I have 220 going out to the garage, so I can set it up. I have full phase three phase, Can't beat a little window unit in the bedroom. If that's all you need, that's like certainly keeps your friggin' costs down, right? Because you're only cooling off really one room. We lived in this apartment. It only really had one window, and it was in the bathroom, and it was one of those vertical sliding windows. And I had to get a vertical air conditioner, and they made them. And I got this like 10,000 BTU vertical air conditioner, and man, that thing, I used to put a fan in that bathroom to blow the cold air out. That thing would really cool that room off. It was nice. Real nice. They're about the size of a small soundbar speaker, and it's a new technology. I have a serious doubt they're probably using like a Peltier, something that would make it feel kind of cold right by it to your hand. But in the reality, the sheer amount of BTUs that you've got to overcome is hard to do. There hasn't really been the closest we've come to a breakthrough in the last 20 years has been mini splits, and those double-sided, those sort of slotted ones, which seem to get rave reviews as well. They kind of are like a mini split, right? Right. The part of it is outside and the other half is inside, and that's it. But there's you know, for every BTU you pull out of the air inside, that heat has to go somewhere. Right? That's why half the air conditioner, the ass sticks outside the house. It's blowing super freaking hot air out as it pulls the heat out of the inside of the house. That heat has to go somewhere. The law of thermodynamics dictates it must. So if you go out to my central air and you stand over it, it's like a freaking furnace blowing some serious heat as it's pulling all the heat out of the refrigerant as it compresses the refrigerant back down to a high pressure state. It starts to, in the higher pressure, it releases a lot more heat. Oh man, that is good coffee. You guys hear the new Stones album? Came out yesterday. Foreign Tongues. They brought back Andrew Watt, who did not all of them, but most of the songs on Hackney Diamonds. So they brought him back as the producer, and he actually has a writing credit on I think 2 songs on the new thing. It's 14 tracks, a little over an hour. And they do a cover of Amy Winehouse, You Know I'm No Good. It's great. God, I miss her. What a talent. So talented. Just amazing. What a loss. And they cover a Chuck Berry tune. Beautiful Delilah. And it's been less than 3 years since Hackney Diamonds, so that's a pretty quick release for them. 2 studio albums, boom, boom. But, you know, they're getting up there. They're like, we better do it now. Overseas, that's all you see plastered on the outside of mini split condensers. Yeah, you know, because they work. If your winter isn't super harsh, they make a really good, a very efficient winter heater versus straight resistive electricity. Around here, natural gas is still cheaper, like on a per watt, right, or per BTU basis, right? Like, how much does it cost, you know, with resistive electricity to do, you know, 100,000 BTUs? How much does it cost? And the mini split to do 100,000 BTUs is actually a lot less with the mini split because it's pulling a lot of the heat out of the air instead of the straight electricity. And then how much with just like natural gas? And natural gas is still pretty damn good. It's like one of the better ones because you get pretty decent density at a pretty fairly low rate, although gas prices have shot up in the recent years. But still, it's like one of the better ones. It's like works out to something like for every $1 in electricity, it's like about 25 cents, where with a mini split, with every $1, it's about 33 cents. A little bit more. So if you had just a straight up resistive electricity, you know, heater, it's like for every $1 there, mini split would be about 33 cents for the same amount of heat. And natural gas is about 25 cents. It's pretty good. I don't know where oil is, because oil prices are so, natural gas is at least regulated. The oil prices are, you know, depends on the week. I know the Stones have been up there for a while, but they, you know, they're doing it. I actually liked it. I listened to it twice. I listened to it today. I had it going in the background a couple of times. I just ran it back to back 2 times in a row. I think I might like it better than Hackney Diamonds. Hackney Diamonds, a little bit more pop. I feel like this is a little bit more traditional Stones album for them. It's pretty good. You know, they have such a formula. They have an upbeat song. They have a punk song. They have a blues song. They have an acoustic tune. They have, you know, some sort of like mid-tempo, you know, modern rock tune. There's always one tune that only Keith sings. Like literally the last friggin' dozen albums. They have a country song on there. One country song. I mean, it's pretty good. I want, you know, the thing is, I got the free service through Amazon, so I'm like, I might as well freaking use it. Robot lawnmowers. The robot lawnmowers are taking over. Sure. I, for one, welcome our new robot lawnmower overlords. Next thing I have to do in a few weeks, replace 40-year-old AC ducts. Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds like a ball buster. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw it, but the court dismissed Behringer's suit against Boss. So Behringer bought TC Electronic at some point, right? And TC Electronic owned the patent for multi-string tuner, right? In other words, a polytune. The polytuner is patented. And Boss had a polytuner on a number of their multi-effects. And Behringer sued them and basically said that's patented technology and you're not allowed to use it without a license or permission, neither of which we are granting. And due to the miracle of firmware updates, they pretty much showed that they had removed the polytuner from, you know, subsequent updates. You know, you throw in a bunch of free amps, but you get rid of the polytuner. And they basically showed that they had stripped out the polytuner and that all new products were shipping without the polytuner, and that, you know, they were making a good effort to knock it out. And the court agreed, and they dismissed Behringer's suit, basically saying it's moot at this point because they complied and removed the product. They removed the polytuner. Though probably some still exist out there. I don't know if they can force a firmware update. It's probably still voluntary. Like, you still got to hook it up to a computer and say, I want to update my firmware. So, I'm sure some people still have it working, but if you want the latest amp or whatever, I think you're going to give up your polytuning on the Boss. It was about a half dozen units. I forget what it was, but it's their multi-effects units. MC1000, something like that. They make a 4-wheel drive robot mower that would do your hill. Damn, $3,000. You know what I want so bad, but I could never buy it because my yard is too small, and I really just need it for like a couple of days. Are those micro backhoes? Have you seen these things? The Chinese, they're like 3 feet wide, right? They can fit through a pretty narrow entryway, and they have a little shovel on one end, and a little bulldozer on the other, and you can use the, you know, the little backhoe to like dig crap out, and use the little freaking bulldozer on the other end to like grade the lawn. Oh my God. But I don't think they're, I want to say they're like, I want to say maybe 12 or 15,000 bucks. I don't think they're cheap. I don't think they're like $4 or $5 grand. I think they're like 12 to 15 grand. Probably 20 by the time you get it delivered, but oh man. It would be a couple of amazing days out there. Ripping shit up, grading stuff. Yeah, right. The little excavators. Exactly. You know the ones that are like Chinese? They're like super free. There's a ton of videos out there. There's a whole video market for people who buy like, tiny jet boats from Timu jet boat, Timu excavator, right? Timu friggin' sports car, and it's like some tiny little friggin', like a micro friggin' go-kart. Yeah, rent one. I suppose I could rent one. Got to get it here, though. By the time, it would probably cost me about the same if I wanted to rent one for a long period of time. But it would be a lot cheaper. I probably could rent one for a few grand for like a week. I'd need it for like a week. I got some old railroad ties I'd want to rip up. I got a bunch of big boulders I want to like frickin' move and get out of here, Oh my God, I'd be out there all frickin' day. The friggin' boy with his toy. Oh yeah, out there digging for gold. I think I hit it. Oh, no, that is the sewer pipe. I'm about to hit gold right here. Oh, that is the water supply. Huh. Did you see the new Strymon Timeline? MX. It's basically like a timeline, but it has such a powerful chip, it's kind of like two timelines in one. And it sounds killer, but it is $700. Well, it sounds killer. $700. I think I'll stick with THU. Speaking of THU, they're running a summer sale. So if you run over to either Overloud or if you want to just stick in the U.S., go to Ilio. They all have the same price. I think you can even go to Sweetwater and get the same price, but I'll shout out my buddies at Ilio. You can go over to Ilio and buy it directly from them and get whatever the lowest price is. I want to say it's $159 right now for the full-blown version. They have some really amazing delays in there. I'm sure I could go through and I should go through and see like what kind of kooky, nutty delays could I set up. I don't know if it's going to quite sound like the MX, but remember, I can just put two instances of of them, one in the left channel, one in the right channel, or I could do them in series, right? Or I could do them left channel, right channel, do them in parallel. There's options. There's options. So, I got to spend some time. It's finally quieting down. We're finally getting, I think, towards the end of dealing with my father-in-law's place. It's friggin' just a thousand things that has to go, but we're getting there. We feel like we're making some headway on that. So, I'm feeling by the end of the summer, we'll be good. The Chase Bliss big time is $1,000. Wow. That is, that's, I should hope I could someday have enough disposable cash that I could just drop $1,000 on a friggin' pedal. But those days are not here yet. Could dig a nice straight trench for plumbing and conduit. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, dude. It's got that nice narrow shovel. Oh, my God. I have a whole pile of, like, old debris down the side of my garage. I would tear all that out and take it and dump it up into the friggin' back of the trailer. Oh, the stuff I could do. Oh, God, I want one so bad. But I could never justify the cost. It's like I don't live on a big piece of property. I would have really almost like no place to really even store it. I could maybe get it in my garage, but I don't know. I'm not even sure it would fit. I'd have to double check. Have to check the height and see if it would even fit through the door. So, Like you say, it's probably better off to be a rental. Maybe I can rent one for like $1,500. I think to buy one, you're talking like 15 grand. They're up there. They're not super cheap. So anyway, THU on sale. Doing the sale thing. Drop 1600 and FM9. The FM9 sound good. The only reason why I'm a little hesitant with Fractal right now is I feel like they haven't really done like a big upgrade on their flagship in a while. I feel like a shoe is going to drop on that soon. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like the FM3, right? The Fractal, like they've gone more on the like entry level stuff. Like, when is the new Axe Effects right? The Axe Effects 4 gonna drop? Be curious to see, what happens there. The FM9 is killer though. As is, what is it? The FM3. They're all pretty good. The FM3s, that can't do quite as much. The 9 though is practically an Axe Effects 3. I don't know that you're really crippled all that much compared to the. You just lack the I/O, I think. But no, they listen. The Axe Effect sounds freaking killer. Even older ones sound good, and they retain their value. You see them out there for 80-90% of their friggin' original price. They're not heavily discounted like a lot of other brands. But they're a premium product, that's for sure, though. Right. They don't have a $199 Fractal. And the market seems to be going more towards, just straight up, NAM, right? Doing the neural amp modeler, doing that like sort of open source, generic. You save the money on the development end. There's a whole, a body of work out there for people that have made NAM captures. There's definitely, some value there because you're not talking a lot of money. Most of those products are $100, under $100, and the models are sounding better and better with every iteration. Better and better and better. And so, that's some serious competition right there. You can rent a Bobcat or a skid steer. That's what I was looking to, a skid steer for the day. That's a good one, right? Those are the little, a couple of belts on them, right? Got a little cage. Yes. Oh, God. Put a helmet on. Be out there in my Bobcat. Why is he wearing a helmet? Just let him. This guitar does sound good. And I sort of set up the trem a little bit. It's just been staying in good tune. Did a good lube. I lubed the nut. You guys know what I'm talking about. You haven't lived until you've worked with a lubed nut. Oh, man. So we got the, now that the 4th is over, you know, it's been sort of clogging everything up. In fact, this past week was one of those days, is the World Cup, because my closest train line is the one that they use as a shuttle between the city, between Boston and the stadium. The stadium's only about 15 minutes away from here, maybe 20 with the traffic. And it causes a huge freaking problem because they have to divert all these freaking other trains, and they don't really add more, so they're like packed like sardines. And my poor wife, she had to go into the office a couple of days this week when they were just crazy with people for the freaking World Cup. Thursday was just insane. But I think that's it. I think it's over. But now that that's over, the tall ships are coming into the harbor, and that just brings a whole bunch of other tourists. So it's been a pretty busy summer, you know, tourist season around here, big time. We will see. So I think when I last left you, we were waiting on the firmware update for the projector I just bought, that projector I bought a few months ago. They're coming out with this new firmware update that was going to like eliminate rainbow effect and all this stuff. And you can't really eliminate rainbow effect without updating the DLP chip. So you have to like update the software, but then you have to update the DLP chip, right? So there's like just two different hardware layers. One's more like the software layer for just like the interface to have something on there to say like I can turn this on, I can turn it off. And then the other one is to actually program the DLP chip to be able to carry out the instructions, you know, like the anti-rainbow effect, and like they have like this new like deep black setting. And they had the deep black setting on the prior firmware, but it had a little bit of a cyan cast, like a little pinky, like a little pinkish. And dudes were losing their minds. If you think the guitar market is bad, you never saw a bunch of friggin' whiny, cryy bitches like on the friggin' projector market. These dudes, you know, first of all, when they told you it was going to get delayed to the 30th, listen, I speak a little bit of corporate speak. Let me tell you what that means. That means when they said it was delayed until June, that means June 30th, okay? Let me just spell that right out for you. That literally means June 30th. And sure enough, it was released on June 30th. And one dude for the days leading up to June 30th, every few hours would post like this line from like one of the guys from the company who had posted there saying, it'll definitely be out by the end of June. And he kept like posting every few hours, it'll definitely be out by the end of June. It'll definitely be out by the end of June. Like, and like quoting them. And it's like, dude, will you get a goddamn, what are you doing? Is it, and this is how you choose to spend your time. It's like, what is wrong with you? So they put it out. Now, normally when they put the firmware out, they do the hardware first. The DLP chip gets updated first. And then you update the software, and everybody's happy, and it all works. This time around, the process was the opposite. They put the software out first, and then you had to reach out to the company, and then based on, you had to show them that you had updated the software by giving them a screenshot, and then through the power of AI, you had to tell them what you had for a unit, and you had to give them a screenshot showing the latest firmware was installed, and they would send you the DLP firmware. And I went through the process. It literally took about 5 minutes. I sent off the thing to the address, and about 5 minutes later, I got it back. They're like, here's your DLP firmware. And they're like, make sure you don't install it unless you really did update that software. No, I said I really did. I sent you the picture. I really did update the software. So I ran the DLP firmware and did the update. But the heads exploding on those forums over this, and this was supposed to be out. This was supposed to fix rainbow effect, right? RBE, right? And this was supposed to do all this, stuff for black levels and all this. And these people, I mean, again, torches and pitchforks. And then they finally did put out the hardware, like literally the same day or like the day after. And there was a number of people posting like, okay, I'm really sorry. The firmware is awesome. And I was totally wrong. But look, it's like these people. The FOMO, these people are so worried that they aren't getting the latest and the greatest. It really is quite an industry. It's like, will you calm down? So I did install I did take a picture of that. I might have. I did install the new firmware, and yeah, I actually did. I took a picture of it. Right there, system update installing. Right there. 1.6 gigs, and man, I could tell right away. I said, "Oh my God, this looks awesome." The picture, it's so uniform. It looks so freaking good. I wasn't the only one. Someone else said, "Is it me or is the image uniformity just like outstanding now?" I'm like, I agree. I am with you. Now, when you get rid of anti-rainbow, there is a chance you'll lose a tiny bit of sharpness or you'll get some dithering, but I didn't notice any of that. I thought everything looked freaking stellar. And I didn't really notice a lot of rainbows unless it was really heavy, like black and white. And then they would start as like the hard edge of black and white with panning motion. You'd start to see it a little bit more. But with the new RBE effect, you don't see it at all. You would have to have some sort of like really crazy acid test where you're running like black and white text on like a computer screen and scrolling through that. That might tear it apart a little bit. And then there was, and it didn't affect me because I only really watch movies on it and television shows, but people who game on it said there was all kinds of screen tearing going on. That was also completely fixed. I wouldn't know. I don't run any gaming through it, but people were swearing it was all fixed. So a company actually did what they said they were going to do. Oh my God. But yeah, no, we had to talk a lot of people off ledges in the days leading up to it. You said it was going to be this weekend. Well, we said by the end of the month, and the end of the month is Tuesday. They're like, oh, Rob. Being told all the visitors fell in love with Texas barbecue and Costco. Yeah, those are both pretty cool things. I think around here that they, we had a bunch of different delegations, but I'd say the Scottish delegation probably had the biggest impact. And they donated like tens of thousands of dollars. They were really quite good at fundraising. It was pretty awesome. RAM prices might drop. Future pending investigation lawsuits keep. I would hope so, but it's been pretty pessimistic. Apple just finally announced big, massive price increases across the board because they have to. They can't, avoid it any longer. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the next iPhone because they're talking like, it could see a jump of $200-300. And, that has a way of dampening sales. I don't know, because if you look up a lot of things about Micron and SK Hynix, they signed into these 5-year deals, 6-year deals. It's crazy. SK Hynix is making so much money that to avoid a strike, they agreed to give 10% of the profits to the workers, which results in American dollars, in U.S. dollars, a payout this year to each and every employee of SK Hynix, about $430,000. And next year, it's slated to hit around $900,000 per employee. And that would be 10% of the profits that they're making. I'm just saying they're making a lot of profits. And they're signed on to a profit-sharing deal with the workers, I think, for 10 years. Samsung also did the same thing. I believe the first payout is going to be something like, it's similar. It's around $400,000 or $380,000 per employee. And I think that's also for about 10 years straight. So, certainly somebody's making money. But, RAM prices are just stupid. So I wound up, I got my Odin, my Odin Portal showed up, Odin 2 Portal from AYN. In fact, it happens to be right now. Right there. Yeah. It is awesome. AMOLED, super freaking bright, super fast, easily the fastest handheld I own. So it can run like PS2, which are pretty big, right? The DVD was out by then, so they're gigabytes in size. So you rip through storage. These aren't like arcade games that are 300K. These are pretty big friggin' games. So I had a 512 gigabyte storage card, which I knew I had never used it. I said, that is around here somewhere. I found it, and I threw it in there. And I said, you know what, maybe for my RP5, maybe I'll get another one of these 512s. This is nice. And I looked it up, and I paid $29.99 less than a year ago for that. And right now, if I wanted to buy it, it is $143. It went from $29.99 to $143 for the same exact card. Well, prices are up. They're calling that up. RAM prices a year ago, I would have been right around this time. I built my PC for over in the synth room there. And that RAM cost me $79.99. And then when I built my daughter's system in October, I bought the same RAM. It was $129. It peaked out at $509 in February, and now it's fallen back to just $389. Instead of I paid $79. Isn't SK Hynix going public? Did they already go public, or I feel like maybe they are going public on Monday, but I could have sworn they went public like this week, but maybe not. I kind of want an Odin 3 or a Retroid, right? 6. So the Retroid 6 and this have the same chip, so they play the same stuff, but this has a much better screen. It's a 7-inch AMOLED, and it has a much bigger battery, 8,000 milliamp battery. It is a bigger and heavier device, and it's hardly a portable device. So if you want something to put in your pocket, then you want to get the RP6. But man, that Odin is freaking killer. I got the grip too. See that? Because my hands are big, and it was too shallow. People said if you have small hands, you'll be fine, but if you have big hands, get the grip. And the grip was $15, and I'm just glad I spent the money on the freaking grip. Makes a huge difference. But when that came out, they were $329, and right now they're blowing them out. They're $249. And sometimes you go there and they're out of stock, but you go back like either later in the same day and they're back in stock again. I think they have an amount of stock that they put out for the day, and then it sells out, and then they restock again the next day. So sometimes you'll go there and it says sold out, but it's just check back in like, a half a day or a whole day and see if they're back in stock again. Again, $250 for that. The only thing that sucked is I could have spent, I think it was $25 for regular postal mail or $45 for DHL. And DHL is so much faster. I spent the $45 for the DHL. So you do pay for the shipping. I would have gotten mine faster, but I went into a shipping exception because it was the 4th of July. So they're like, yeah, you're not moving until the holiday's over. Yeah, no, the Vola does look good. It's a good looking guitar. Satin. And then I don't know if I can show it, but it's got the nice mahogany. Oh, here. See, Microsoft is extending Windows security tab. I saw that. Did they do that with Did they do that with I forget now. Did they do that with XP? They just could not get rid of XP. They just had so many people. They kept extending it, and they were finally like, people, we're ending it. We're finally ending it. You have to end XP. People loved XP because it was so lightweight. It freaking worked. What's up, Retro Puffer? You went from an iPhone 6 to a 12 Pro, maybe get the 25 when that comes out. I pretty much get a new phone every year because I usually sell my old phone for almost what the new phone costs. I usually sell my old phone for $599, and I net like, that's a very specific number because I don't want to get a $10.99 from them. So you have to be under $600. So I sell it for $599 and free shipping, and I usually, net about $5.25 for the phone. But my new phone is $650 for the latest one. And normally $1,300. You get it 50% off through Google Fi. So I usually get the phone for half price, and the phone costs me at the end of the year about $100 maybe. A little more than $100, $125. And the next year I'll repeat the process. I get the new phone. I sell the old one for $599. And, of course, the old one, I could get probably a lot more for the phone, but I don't want to deal with the friggin' $10.99 at the end of the friggin' year. It's such a pain in the ass, It used to be that you didn't get $10.99 unless you sold 20 grand. And now it's 600 is the threshold. You see, Zounds has an open box Jackson Soloist. Is it the one you sent back? It could be, but they very often have more than one guitar that's open box. It might be the one I sent back. Would they have that already? They might have it by now. But I don't know if it would be back in stock. I think they just got that one probably yesterday. It says it was 2069 and now it's 1674. That sounds about right. I think when I got my 1674, sounds right, black one, right? Now it's worth 1675 now that I've played it. You ignore the 1099s. I think they report them though, and very often when I show up to do my taxes online, they're like, "You got a 1099 from this company, right?" It's like, uh-huh. It's almost like they already know. You have them send you an ESP USA so you can buy the open box. I actually try to, usually when I'm getting them, I already get the open box. It's pretty rare. I don't want new guitars. First of all, it puts a real burden against, like, you know, worrying about scratching it, denting it, anything like that. But secondly, it really kills the value. You know, if they send me a brand new guitar, they can never sell it as new because once you open it, it's been opened. It's sort of like, these aren't little mom and pop stores, and they record things that are sold through shipping like that. They have to record the serial numbers and keep track of all that. And once it becomes shipped even one time, it becomes an open box, and they have to sell it as an open box. So I just work off the open box list, because if you're sending me an open box and then I'm returning an open box, they don't really take a hit in the value, right? It's the same friggin' status that it had before it left, but when it goes from new to open box, they take a hit. And I think if I was getting new guitars every week, week after week after week, eventually it'd be like, we can't drop this kind of cash. We can't lose this kind of money on a friggin' weekly basis where you're taking brand new guitars and making them open box guitars. It's just too much for, like, quote unquote advertising, which is essentially what it is, right? It's link generation. So that's why I made a decision, like when I first started there, I said, just work off the friggin' clearance items. That'll keep this going a lot longer. And then you don't even have to worry about, you know, scratching it or denting it or whatever. Oh, that was there. You know. I know exactly. You got AI IRS monitoring it now. William says, you've got the same volume, do you? The same one? Do they have, let me take a quick look. I have no guarantees, but you never know. Let me go. Guitars. Electric guitars. Solid body electric guitars. Yeah. We'll do a search. Let me be easy to sort by price. No. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. Interesting. Actually, more than one. Unless this is a double listing. Nope. Nope. Two different stores. Huh. Is it though? Oh, it is. Oh, no, it is. Oh, yeah. It's their stupid friggin' software. But it's right. Hold on. Let me call that one up. Let me call this one up. There we go. This is the old Jackson Erie Des. It's kind of like this one, but it's a little different. I think they do a black and white pattern. I think they roll it, right? It's like they have like one of those textured rollers. Or they do like plastic baggy over it, right? It was a thing for a while. Everyone was doing the plastic baggy technique. And you put it on down and then you peel it off and it creates this like weird like pattern. And then you spray color over it, right? Transparent color. The red, the blue, the green. And yeah. Right? Yeah, and then it turns even green on the back. Yeah. Oh, sure. A little bit of red. That's what, when I saw this paint job, it kind of reminded me of this. This is, I want to say, 20 years ago? 22 years ago? Something like that. It's been a minute. Yeah. Right? Kind of. A little similar. Slightly. And then they had another one. Yeah, this one. EMGs, though. Yeah, there's another one. Doesn't look exactly the same. This is more purple up here. I could have sworn the other one was more red. All right, doesn't this look a little different purple? The other one looked more reddish. Oh, yeah, that looks maybe slightly different. No, is it just me? Right, versus, oh, yeah. I mean, maybe this is purple and it's just the guy capturing it. But those look like two different, right? Two different hues. Way redder here. But again, it could be the guy's camera. You never know. Not bad, though. I think those are about $2,500, $24.99. Used. Soloist. Troll says they all look a little different, do they? Yeah, do they try to mix it up? I could see that. Make them try to look a little one of a kind. Oh yeah, no, those are both USA models. 2,500, you're going to be USA models. You freaking better be. Used anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, those are USA. They have a close-up of the headstock. I guess that's the closest. Yeah. Made in USA. Right there. Yeah, I think this one, $25.99. This one, $24.99. I see some condition issues. We're missing screws. It's a little beat up. You know, versus this one. You know, looks a little cleaner. Though it needs a cleaning, though. Look at that. Freaking filthy. You know, could you clean your freaking guitar before you trade it in? I swear, some of these, man, they're freaking filthy. But that's easy enough. You get a little bit of steel wool and a little bit of lemon oil and pull that right off. It'd be like, it'd be gorgeous. Polish the frets, buff out those friggin' that fretboard. Oh, it'd look nice. Rico B says, have you ever played the Les Paul Supreme? Not really. I have played the older series with the hollow body. It was a long time ago. I think I played that in like 2014, 2015 when they were first out. But I haven't played the new ones, which is definitely a little bit of a design. Yeah, the filth adds to the lure. Yeah, exactly. Now they're, you pay extra for that now. Shows up a little pre-played. Hold on a sec. You're seeing the Sox beat the Mets 4-0. So we'll see this week. Like I said, they said we were going to get hot again. So we'll see. Trying to, you know, I'm actually been playing a little bit more guitar because it's so friggin' hot out. Really not a lot to do. And we're finally getting, like I said, caught up at my father-in-law's place. That feels like it's in its final, you know, sort of stages to have it all prepped. Like I said, it'd be great to have that gone by the end of the summer. We will see. What's up, Chuck? It's a sauna where you are. We've had the AC on. We've had it cranked. It's been good though. When we hit 100 though, it struggles. But I know, like last year, if it was hitting, you know, 100 degrees, it'd be like 78, 80 degrees in the air. But now it's like 74, 75. I will take it. I'll take every degree I can get. Oh man, look at this. We have We have new members. Rico B. Shame. Chuck U. Farley. Shame. All Grain Brewer. Shame. Matt Dummett. 9500. Not to be confused with the other one. Shame. And CJ Watson. Shame. 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 Do we have the shame soundbite? Somewhere? Is it in downloads? No. Where would that be? Let me see if I can find that. Where would that be? Would it be on the server? On the server? D. I know we haven't heard that one in a while. Good old Shame song. Scared the crap out of you. It's supposed to. It's supposed to shame the crap right out of you. Yeah. Oh, that was a dark song. I said, oh, write a song about someone being shamed. And the chorus should say shame. And it ran with it. It was friggin' dark. I said, oh, no. This is supposed to be lighthearted. This isn't. Oh, no. No. So I only cut out. That was the very end of the song where they repeat the chorus and then close it out. And that's the only part I kept. The rest of the song was a throwaway. It was like, oh, it was bad. You know, because it's a computer and it doesn't, there's no subtlety. And so it can't, it took it way too literally. And it was dark. Oh, it was freaking, I was like, oh, dude, oh, no. No, you missed you totally missed the assignment. But welcome. Welcome, my new members. I'm going to send you the pamphlet, So You Decided to Ruin Your Life. Quick Guitar Center online used story. Bought a PRS in great condition. Arrived with paint chips. That doesn't sound great. Returned it to local guitar center. Just looked. Local store. Listed it for the same price. Great condition. Sure. Listen, one man's good is another man's great. Building up your wood shop might make your next fiddle. That's ambitious, but people do it. Yes, yeah, my socks are lumping up the Mets. My socks have been absolutely horrible this year, and I think they finally dumped they had a couple of dudes who were kind of cancerous in the clubhouse, and they sent one to friggin' Worcester and one down to Fort Myer, and the team has been doing a little bit better since then. I think they had a couple of dudes who were sort of like bringing the club down, and they dumped them. They threw them out on assignments, and the club's been doing better. But we seem to do better as an away team. It's like when we're home, we stink it up pretty bad. You know. No shout out for the late dude. What dude? Mean you? You haven't been here? You just get here? Somehow I felt you were always here. Sounds good, huh? Loving my new Epiphone Flying V Pink Lemonade. Oh yeah, no, that sounds like a cool color. Now, is it one of the new let me see if I can find it. Is it one of the new Prophecy models? Epiphone. Epiphone, do we have? Boy, now they don't make it easy. I wish they did it like. Did they just do it by? Yeah, Flying V. There you go. I guess that's a Quicksilver shift. Maui Blue. I'm seeing more Quicksilver. I'm seeing a Maui. Yeah, that's a 70s exclusive. Was it a store exclusive? Because I don't see it on the website. yeah, it was you. So you, I could have sworn you were here at the beginning, but I believe you. You were here in spirit. Yeah, the new Futura. Yeah. Oh, nice. And it's in, where'd you get? Oh, Solaris. Yeah. Oh, it looks nice. Oh, yeah, right. I see what you're saying. So it's got, like if you see it like right here, you can see the pink come out. It's like shifting, right? You can see it's a different color right here, depending on the shift. Nice. Oh yeah, there it goes. Epiphone make killer stuff. Oh yeah, there it goes. So you can see it right there. Nice. Epiphone's really good. Freaking love Epiphone. You know what? They figured out pickups are 99% of it. So put really good pickups in, and it'll always sound good, and you don't even have to think about it. So especially when I do a lot of the inspired by Gibson, which I think that is a one. I think technically that isn't inspired by Gibson, even though it's like a Futura model. They use good pickups. They just do. They always use good sounding pickups, and that there's half the battle right frickin' there. Then you have to see if you like the shape and if you like the neck profile, but already out of the gate, it sounds pretty good. I've had really good luck with Epiphone. Well, a lot of times they have Gibson pickups. I think the last handful of Epiphones I had here were Gibson inspired, and they came with Gibson pickups. Does this have Gibson pickups, or has it got Fishman? Electronic specs. Pro Buckers Epiphone. Pro Buckers, yeah. Pro Buckers are killer though. I think it was Pro Buckers in the Les Paul I had, and I think if you got the more expensive newer one, that was Burst Buckers maybe. I'd have to double check. Too many. There's a lot of Buckers out there. Your Epi doesn't sound good? Yeah, sounds like they put a blanket over the pickups. I wonder if they put like a... That almost sounds like a bad cap or a bad pot or something, I know what you're saying, but it almost sounds like the tone knob is forever turned on. Because I haven't had that experience. And I've done a lot of Epiphone. Epiphone is either... Yeah, the number one brand I cover has been, just by sheer number, Fender. And then I want to say 2 is Epiphone. And then 3 is like a bunch of brands. Like Vola, Ibanez. Actually, Ibanez might be up there with Epiphone. And then it's like Vola, Kramer, maybe Sterling. I've been doing a lot of Sterling. I'd have to go back and take a look, but the number one is still Fender. Ian says he just got an ES335 Epiphone. It's really nice. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it frickin' is. It's an older model. New is probably better. I think they got that sorted. I think you're not wrong that Epiphone I think was sort of a little bit more neglected as a brand. I feel like in the last 10 years they've really made a push to be. You got things like finally got large diamonds on the headstalks. You know, you can thank Bonamassa for that, because he insisted on it for his signature model. Then they weren't going to have two different size diamonds, so everybody got big diamonds, right? And then finally, you know, we finally saw, this working here? Check, check. We finally saw the same exact headstock, which, you know, they've done over the years, but they would never do it with, it would always be a rosewood fretboard, right? Or they would do an ebony fretboard, but they would never match the headstock. There was always something a little different because, man, Henry always wanted to protect the Gibson guys. But now they realize that they don't really compete. The Gibsons are so much more friggin' expensive. They're not in the same price bracket. Price brackets are separated by like $10 price points. And the difference between those is like $5,000, you know? You know, $4,500 separates the models. They're not competing in the same space by any means. So they finally just said, you know what? We're not going to lose sales. And they finally came out with matching headstocks and ebony and mother of pearl inlays, you know. No, some of the nicest guitars I've tried have been part of that Gibson inspired by series by Epiphone. Really good stuff. Really good. So, and then, you know, a lot of times you'll look and you see the guitar and it's an Epiphone and you're like, wow, this is really nice. How much is the Epiphone? They're like $599. How much is the Gibson? It's like $4,000. It's like, really? You don't have like a $2,500 version of this guitar? They're like, no, that guitar actually is custom shop only and they're $4,000. It's like, oh shit. Oh, wow. Carry on. Because, you know, starting to get a little kooky. What time is it? 8:53. Man, tonight is going by. I don't think I've ever reviewed a bomb. I don't think so. So there's got to be carried by Zounds. Zounds is who supplies the guitars. So unless they're retailed by Zounds. Someone asked Anderson's, why don't you ever review Fractal? You know, why come you never reviewed a Fractal Audio? All the years you've been here, you never reviewed a single Fractal Audio? They're like, hey, dum-dum, we're reviewing. They didn't say that, but it's like, well, we review things that can be sold in the store. Because it's Anderson's, you know, Andertons. And they're like, Fractal is direct. So what would be the point? They're like, oh, yeah, I guess. Because you're like about guitars and it's guitar related. They're like, yeah, or it's about sales, really. What are my thoughts about Amplitude? Amplitube? It's good. I still wind up going back to THU. Amplitude is really good for clean sounds, but they kind of lose me on the distorted sounds sometimes. That's where I think THU has a little bit better tone to my ears, you know. Amplitude is nice, but for a while there I was doing bias, I was doing Amplitude, I was doing guitar rig, but I just kept going back to THU, and I was like, THU seems to I seem to find patches I like more there. And so I wind up going back to that a lot. And when I stray away from it, I say, well, I don't think I like the sound as much. And I wind up going back to THU again. I've been on this Brit 87 now for a few years. And it's been working out. It's one of the better patches I've had through the rigs over the years, without a doubt. Yeah, Guitar Rig is not too bad. They're all pretty good. I just think that consistently I like THU better. I like its interface better, too. Sometimes I get frustrated with some of those other ones. Especially, like, some of them that they don't really have a convolution reverb. A lot of times they load an IR through, like, the IR loader, but it's a reverb IR. So, I know it works, but it feels a little weird. I think that it just in terms of, like, just thinking about the interface and working the interface, THU is just that much easier, right? You just literally put things in a line on a pedal board. It couldn't be much easier. And they're deep. They have a lot of parameters you can really dig out. So there's oodles and hours of fun. That's for sure. Wow, it's already 8:57. Wow. Has Amplitude been worked on much since Tonex? I feel like they might have switched gears straight up to Tonex now. I know what you're saying, right? They just abandon one and they go for the other. But I don't know. Have a good one, speaker. You just got Machine Mark III, and now you have Guitar Rig. I haven't tried it yet. Guitar Rig is good. It's good. It definitely has some decent amps. I don't think I like the layout. So Guitar Rig has one thing that none of the other ones have, and that is a really good record and playback system using these tape decks. So you can put a tape deck at the start so you can play along with the backing track, and you can put a tape deck at the end so you can record yourself through the whole rig with the backing track and record yourself at the end. And you can tell it when you play the backing track in this beginning tape deck at the start, don't run it through the amp. Just run it directly to the tail and run my guitar through the amp. And then they all meet up at the end. That is such a good system. I was always hoping that someday THU would come up with that, like just a tape recorder that worked in stereo. You could load a track in at the beginning and then do it at the, but they never did. That's the one thing Guitar Rig has over everybody else. Those freaking tape decks are really good. I love those tape decks. But I think in the straight up sound, they're not quite as good. Like the one thing I really like about THU is you can back off. And it really works great, Right, it really handles guitar volume changes really well. So I don't find that the other packages are quite as good doing that. And you know what? THU is just quiet. It can get noisy. That single coil. And not too bad. When I move away from the computer, it's not so bad. But I find the other ones just inherently are just noisier. Guitar Rig is, THU is pretty quiet. Not bad. So I kind of miss that when I go to some of the other packages. I'm like, oh man, this is sort of just noisy, just sort of like internally. So another thing to think about. And THU is on sale right now for $159. And, those other ones, I feel like you get a lot to start, but then it's all like, buy more rigs, buy more crap. right? It's like they're always trying to upsell you on like new crap. Now, trust me, there's a lot you can buy for THU, but you do get quite a bit out of the gate with the free one. It is kind of, it's not like totally stripped down. It's actually quite loaded with a lot of friggin' amps and effects. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. All right, dudes. We are at 9:01, and I am calling it a night. You guys have a wonderful week. Check out Monday's video. I shot it yesterday. I really enjoyed making that video, and I really friggin' love this guitar. Check that out, and it's an affordable guitar. Check that out on Moon Day. And there you have it. We will do it all again in a week. You guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you all next week. And we'll talk about the events of the week. And there you go. And everybody's happy. All right. You guys have a great week. And I'll see you next week. And there you go. No. You rock. And welcome to all my new members. Glad to have you on board. Welcome. 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 All right. I bid you adieu.